One of the big games of the weekend was in France between Paris Saint-Germain and Marseille in the Classique. And so I thought, if we're going to talk about French football, we've got to get one of the best people in the industry to talk about it. So we got French football expert Jonathan Johnson joining me live now on Sportacino at John Le Gossip on Twitter. Jonathan, welcome to Sportacino.
Good morning, Richard. Thanks for having me on.
It's great to have you, Jonathan. So, what we want to know is it was 0-0 between Paris Saint-Germain and Marseille. What did you make of that match?
Yeah, well, obviously it was a disappointing result. Classique, as the fixture is known in France, is a big deal. You don't get any bigger matches really in French domestic football than when PSG come up against Marseille, whether it's in Paris or whether it's at Stade Velodrome in Marseille. But this one sadly didn't live up to the pre-match hype. The appointment of Rudy Garcia as Marseille coach just a few days before the game, really added a bit of spice to it. And I have to say, that I think that he coached the team well, considering he only had 2 training sessions with them. But unfortunately, that came at the detriment of the spectacle, really, because it was, a bit of a damp match. But I think that people were right to expect more from PSG in the game. I didn't see enough attacking intent from them to really merit the victory. After the match, PSG coach Unai Emery and some of the players came out and said they were happy with the way they performed. They were just disappointed they didn't manage to get the goal. I'd challenge that a bit. I'd say that the performance wasn't really good enough from PSG. I didn't think that they created enough chances, considering the disparity between the two teams. And I think that they really should have done more. And at the moment, it's been a bit of an underwhelming start to the season for PSG, really.
Yeah, you say underwhelming. I think I saw a statistic saying they've lost as many games this season as they did in all of last season already. Now, where do you think that problem lies? Is it the change in manager, or is it the loss of Ibra, or is there something else?
I think it's a bit of those two things, really. But I think there's a lot of problems at PSG as well. I think that there is a lot of player power there at the moment, and I don't think that that's helping Unai Emery getting his feet under the table. I think it was always going to take a new coach a long time to bed in. It wasn't an immediate thing for Laurent Blanc, and the same for Carlo Ancelotti as well before him. So it was always going to be very difficult for whoever came in after Blanc to get results immediately and to please the notoriously difficult Parisian press. But I also think that having to replace a talisman like Zlatan Ibrahimovic was also going to be a massive task for PSG, and it's proven so far. That there have been some bright spots in this season, notably the form of Edinson Cavani, looking very dangerous in front of goal. Yes, missed a very good opportunity to win the game late on against Marseille yesterday, but other than that has looked something closer to the player that PSG bought from Napoli a few years ago than he has done in any of his time in Paris so far. So I think that there are a few issues that PSG are working through, but I don't think you can just say that it's because of Zlatan Ibrahimovic's absence or because of Unai Emery's appointments as coach. I think those two things are a factor, but there are another few issues as well for PSG, notably the fact that I think that Unai Emery wanted to make more changes to the squad and to the way that the team plays than he's been allowed, because some of the players seem very reluctant to try a new style of play. Unai Emery is not known for his possession-based 4-3-3 sort of style of play. That's something that's been left over from Laurent Blanc. Emery was preaching a 4-2-3-1 formation with more emphasis on counter-attacking football earlier on in the season, and that seems to have disappeared in the last couple of months. So it's been a strange start to the season, but an intriguing one nonetheless.
It's only been one game for Rudy Garcia, but what do you think he may have learnt about his team on Sunday night?
Well, I think that he now knows that he's got a lot of character inside of that Marseille team. Like I said earlier, only had 2 training sessions with the squad before going and taking on PSG in one of the 2 really big matches of their season. Okay, they didn't even try to get a shot on target for the for the whole 90 minutes. Yet, they performed very well defensively. They were very well organised, motivated, and I think that bodes well, because I think that Garcia was intelligent enough to know that he wasn't going to be able to do too much with the squad. So it was just a question of damage limitation. So to come away from that game with a 0-0 draw, I think is a fantastic achievement, and now that means that he's going to be able to start off positively in his reign as Marseille coach.
All right, well, Paris Saint-Germain are third in the table now after that result. Nice are the surprise winners, winning again. What are they doing right now? What is making them so good?
It's a good question. I mean, Nice have been a good team now for the last couple of seasons. They rely very heavily on their youth academy, which produces some fantastic footballers. You only have to look at the team at the moment that is doing so well. Alassane Player scoring a hat-trick yesterday. And they've got the likes of Vincent Cosiello as well in midfield. Some very, very good, talented young players there. And they've got a coach in Lucien Favre who gets the best out of either limited players or very talented youngsters. And at the moment he has a real mix of talent, hard workers, but also very gifted youngsters as well. And that blend is proving irresistible at the moment. Mario Balotelli's been very good since he arrived. Younes Belhanda as well is a very creative player who can turn on the style when he wants to. And like I said, with so many bright youngsters in that team, it's not really a surprise that Nice are looking so vibrant so far. And I think the optimism that the club has felt, especially since last season when Hatem Ben Arfa was leading Claude Puel's men on a push for Champions League football. I think that Nice feel that they can really become European regulars now. The facilities are certainly there. You look at their shiny new stadium. They've got some very, very good youth facilities, excellent training facilities as well. And I think all the ingredients are there now for Nice to become a team that doesn't only qualify for the Europa League, but can actually push for perhaps that third spot in the Champions League.
Belhanda, he was that player who was so good in that Montpellier team which won the league, right?
Yeah, he was. He's absolutely superb there for them, as well as Olivier Giroud, Remy Cabella as well. But sort of dropped off in the following seasons. Then moved to Dynamo Kiev. Didn't really do too much there. Sort of dropped off of the radar. Really went on loan to Schalke in Germany. Didn't set the world alight there, and has now come to France to sort of rebuild his reputation. And I think that there was no better choice for him than Nice, and it was a fantastic pickup for the club as well.
So there's a big win for Monaco, 6-2. I think that was Friday night. So are we expecting these three teams to go for the title? Do you see Monaco as genuine contenders?
I do see Monaco as genuine contenders. I don't see Nice as long-term contenders. Yes, they're in fantastic form at the moment, and they have an early lead, but I don't think that will last. I think that ultimately, spreading themselves between European competition and domestic, will be a struggle for them, and I think that we will see them drop off a little bit. I don't expect them to drop off too much. I still think they'll be in and around that sort of top three area for at least until the beginning of next year. But I think that really it's going to be between Monaco and PSG at the moment. It doesn't surprise me that Lyon are lagging behind so badly. I didn't think that they had a fantastic summer, and I think that they're too over-reliant on Alexandre Lacazette. So when he got injured, it wasn't a surprise to see them drop off quite a bit. But for me, this Monaco squad is the strongest that Leonardo Jardim has had in his time in France, and I think that they have a good chance of winning the league this season. They've already beaten PSG once, and if they can sort of keep up with PSG, keep pace with them, and stay just ahead. Even if PSG managed to beat them when the two teams play in Paris later on in the season, Monaco will still be close enough to profit. If PSG get another disappointing result or two, like they have already this season when they lost away at Toulouse as well. So for me, I think that Monaco are the real serious threat for PSG at the moment. I mean, Nice are a dark horse. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to rule them out completely. I just think that the requirements of European football and domestic football, especially once the domestic cups get started, will become a bit too much for Nice, and I think we'll probably see them drop down to about third or fourth place. But if Mario Balotelli continues to bang in the goals like he has so far this season, then anything can happen.
Anything can happen with Mario Balotelli, full stop, Jonathan. It's been great to get your thoughts this morning. Just before you go, why don't you tell our listeners and viewers how exactly they can continue to get your great knowledge on social media or any other articles, podcasts, or everything and anything else you're involved with?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the best place to keep up with my work is on Twitter. So if you follow me at JON_Legossip, LEGOSSIP, and there you'll find most of my work as PSG correspondent for ESPN FC and various other articles that I might write for some of my other publications as well.
Well, Jonathan Johnson, French football expert, thank you so much for your time this morning on Sportacino.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Richard.